So we've just come back from a week away of holidays and I need to go around and harvest everything in our garden. So I thought I would give you a bit of a tour of everything that is growing here in our subtropical garden here in southeast Queensland, Australia in mid-spring, so the beginning of October. So if you're new here, I'm Nikki and I'm on a mission to grow as much as I can on a regular suburban block. And today I'm kind of trying to decide if I want to spend a whole day in the kitchen as to how much I'm going to harvest. I think I will. I think it's beetroot season, so let's go. Okay, I'm going to start out the back here. These are wicking beds. This is the bed that I planted out in June, and this bed here is onions that I planted in April, May, and I've put some beetroots in between it. The beetroots are getting really big, so I can't wait to see how they go. But in here, this bed has been a little bit slow. So I am thinking of just cutting my losses here. I might leave the broccoli in a little bit longer just because I don't have anything to go into this bed yet anyway. But I am going to get some of these off. So this is the broccoli de Chicchio and it is better harvest for the side shoots. I've actually left this a little bit too long. As you can see, it's flowering, but it's fine. They're still edible. So I'm just going to trim all those off and we'll just keep getting side shoots until the plant is done, which is getting close to it, to be honest. Now these beetroots are really not doing the best. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I've had problems with this bed and the drainage. The carrots as well, they should be well and truly out. So I'm just gonna get them all out. I'll leave the broccoli in and the other things, but let's see what we've got here. I can't even remember what variety. I think this is a Nantes, but that looks different altogether. Little babies. Not bad. It's actually surprisingly better than I thought. They're gonna be baby beets. Now these peas have obviously got powdery mildew. These are the Massey gems. This is too far, like they'll be starting to dry off inside. So I'm just gonna leave those for seeds next year, and I'm gonna leave the broccoli, and there's some rocket going to seed as well, which I will leave. And the mustard I can still harvest from. It hasn't gone to seed just yet. So last month, the onions didn't look like they were anywhere close to starting to bulb up. But I swear in the last sort of 6 weeks, they have started to look like actual onions and not spring onions, which I'm really stoked about. I am gonna get these beetroots out though, because they are getting quite big. So let's do that. It's a good one. Some good ones in here. Got some pretty decent ones in there. So that one there's an early wonder, and this one here's the cylindrical one. So they kind of grow more like a carrot, like a tuber, as opposed to the globe. Pretty happy with that harvest of beets. So I am going to need a bigger basket, I think. But don't waste these. This is just like Swiss chard. I've been eating a lot of these this year because our Swiss chard hasn't been producing as well as the beets. And I think next year I probably won't grow Swiss chard. I will just grow more beetroots. And you can get the golden ones as well, which give you that yellow colored ones. But these have been really good. So my cherry tomato is all bagged up. I have just been coming and grabbing a few just as they start to blush, and then I just leave them on our kitchen counter. Only take a day or so to go really red. It just helps It's just risk management because otherwise birds will come and eat them. But I'm not sure if you can see, I have had, can't really see, it's kind of grown over it, but I did have something, maybe a cockatoo has come and snipped off the top of the tomato bush. But I am liking growing it like flat like this because I can just sort of attach it. I'm just using the tomato clips that I would usually use on the lower and lean strings to attach it to the frame. The veg pod, I've got my cayenne chilies, they've kicked into gear. The zucchini over the back here has finally kicked into gear. I stopped watering it for a month and it's now probably where I was expecting it to be. So this is a kind of a wicking bed, and what I was doing was overwatering it and the plants did not like it. Here we've harvested a few lettuce out of here already. The beans are very close, so probably in the next couple of days we will get some of those, but that's going really well. The beetroot probably will get a little bit shaded. I do want to try and train the zucchini up that way a bit so they will actually grow, but we'll see how we go. Now there is a fruit on this zucchini, but I do not know if it was pollinated. We will see. I haven't got any cucumber fly stings yet, but we will see how it goes. That's our biggest thing with cucumbers and zucchinis is cucumber fly. It looks like a fruit fly, but it stings all of with those plants, all the fruit within that family. And what happens is the fruit just drops off. It doesn't actually continue growing. I will just grab this lettuce because it's starting to bolt. So it's the problem when it starts to heat up, lettuce bolts. So that's why I like to plant loads, just quick turnaround. So in our strawberry bed, we planted our excess beans. So these are the strike beans. So they're just like little round bush beans. They're really good to grow. In our climate, they don't get to rust like some of the others. I do have something in this bed eating things. I'm pretty sure it's earwigs. You see there's like a little hole right there in the center of that bean. Still good. That one there's been eaten all the way off. It could be the dog. This flower bed is one that is competing with the tree roots. So the nutrients get sucked out of it so quickly. My zinnias are so tiny, but we are getting green beans from here because I just shoved these spare ones in. Not heaps, but the start of bean season. I did end up finding some old olas that I had laying around, and I put them in this garden bed to help with moisture retention because it is getting so dry. The last lettuce of the hydroponics, it's going to be bitter because it is going to seed, but the water's almost done anyway, so I'm just going to give this straight to the chickens. I'll just get the clay beads off. Here you go, girls. Oh, bullies. It has been so dry. We had to get a sprinkler on here, out here for our coffee beans and also the bananas and the pawpaw here. But this banana is getting close. We're gonna have to get the ladder. There is another banana over that way. I don't think you can see it because of the leaves, but the flower is just there, the end of the flower. So we're gonna have a lot of bananas soon, which will be nice. Looks pretty bare now that I've pulled all of those beetroots out, but this wicking bed here is just got a cover crop growing, so I'm just gonna let that go probably for another 4 weeks. I was planning on putting my November bed in there or even putting sweet potatoes, but we'll see how we go with that. So I moved all of my pots under the mulberry tree for when we went away and just set up the sprinkler so my sister-in-law who was looking after the garden could just turn the sprinkler on and everything would be sorted. So it worked really well. And the mulberry tree, the berries were actually really sour. And since we've been watering them more often, they are so sweet. So there's not many left, but there's still a few. The birds are into them, the fruit bats are into them, and there's lots on the ground, but everything under the tree is looking so good. So the blueberries are coming. I do have an issue with this one. It's got some kind of rust on it, so I need to figure out what to do with that, but generally they're looking okay. I'm not going to lift the net off of this because it's too traumatic to get it back on because of the dragon fruit next to it. But we do have peaches. You can see the color in there. There's a few plums. I don't think there are any nectarines though. I will, once these fruiting has finished, I will give this a really harsh cut back just so everything's at level at the nectarine. So hopefully that they can sort of catch up. With the front garden now, it is getting really hot. This garden gets full sun all day, so normally I do wind down this part of the garden, but because I haven't fully set up the back garden beds and the aquaponics, I am kind of relying on this out here. I will probably, with the prediction of it being quite dry over summer, I probably will decommission a few beds, just put in some cover crops over the hot months, put in sweet potatoes in any spare beds, and that is it. But I'll show you how we're going at the moment. I do want to pull out all of the things from my July bed, and also I've still got some things from when I planted back in May, so I'll go do that. So this is the bed that I planted out in May. Oh my God. We did get a cauliflower. If I had have been here last week, it would have been better. I mean, it's still probably edible. Kids probably won't eat it, but I will. It's a cauliflower. Kohlrabi. It's another one. Hold on. Another kohlrabi. There's also some beetroots in here. I'm just gonna try and get all of my beets out. These, I have been getting bigger ones out of here just to stick with roast. So these ones are just baby ones that are left. Actually not too bad. Go. So this is how everything's going from what we planted back in September. The corn is starting to kick into gear. I've got some sort of odd growth rates, so I probably need to check the water situation on some of those corns, but everything's going pretty good. The beans are up, the cucumbers are just starting to kick into gear. The only thing that didn't come up was my pumpkins, and there's kind of like a dead zone over in this area where I think those greenhouse cockroaches are just eating everything that I put in there. But it's going all right. I do want to harvest some calendula today. I feel bad taking them away from the bees because the bees absolutely love them. You can see here what those cockroaches are doing. This is a cosmos. They just do it at that base level. The Madagascan climbing beans are in full swing. I can't wait for them to take over this entire area. They are a perennial, so you can just leave them in. I like to move things around, so I think the longest I've kept some Madagascan beans is probably 2 years, but they do last for a while. Now, this bed was when we planted in July. My tatsoi has not liked the heat. It's just gone straight to seed. That's the second planting of lettuce. I've only got 2 fennel left, and there's a few decent beetroots. I might just get the biggest ones out of these. I don't have any plans of pulling things out of this bed just yet, but I'll get those out. The snow peas are done. It's just too hot for them now. But I will check the carrots. Oh, that's actually really good. I think I will do these square base layouts more often. Oh, there's some good ones. Oh, little ones. Oh, I love pulling out carrots. I mean, they're so cheap to buy, but they're just so satisfying to grow. Oops, that one. did not want to come out. Oh, there we go. I am going to grab one of those fennel. Now, if you were just to snip the base, it will resprout and grow more fennel, but I do not want more fennel to grow. So that's why I've been pulling them out. So normally I do a chop and drop kind of thing, but I don't want them to stay here. Oh my God. This one's really set in. Look at the root system on that. I mean, they're on the small size. We are getting the mildew on them, but honestly, I like them this big. Now some beetroots. I still have some spring onions here. I'll just come grab those as I need them. I haven't needed any recently, but the beetroots. So they look good. I'm not gonna get them all. I'm just gonna get the biggest ones. There's still a bit of growing for those ones. So this was a bed I planted in May. I have just jammed a heap of things in here because when we went away, I wanted to get some seedlings out of the greenhouse. So I have put in another eggplant. There's some fennel in there. It's just going to be a bit of a mishmash, spare parts kind of bed. I am still waiting for some of the seeds on these freckled lettuce, and we've also got some sweet potatoes re-sprouting here. I do have the mite issue with the Swisher. I'm just choosing to ignore that for now. So the bed we planted out last week. So we've got our Roma tomato, she's kicked into gear. I did have to replace this because I did have the issue of those greenhouse cockroaches snipping it off at the base again. And what I did, someone suggested putting some rings around them just to stop them from getting in. I didn't have any rings, but I did have some of the copper tape that you use for snails. It was sitting in the back of my greenhouse. I'm like, okay, I'll use that. So it has worked really well so far. The lettuce is not coping with the heat, so hence why I've had to put a bit of shade over it. But the beans have all come up. The basil is pretty happy. The dill that I left in there is finishing up. I should actually take it out. It is covered in aphids, but it is also covered in so many baby lady beetles. So I'm just gonna leave it and let the ladybugs multiply. The same is happening here with the coriander that's gone to seed. It is just full of aphids, but also full of lady beetle larvae. So my capsicum slash eggplant slash tromboncino bed that I planted out last week is kicking into gear. I need to, these arches are pretty useless until you put something on there, but I need to get some mesh on this ASAP for that to climb up. I did lose a capsicum, which I think I mentioned after the plant because it happened like that very day. So I've got some in the greenhouse that I will replant. They're just a little bit too small, so I'll do that in the next couple of weeks. But that's going all well. This is just one of my spare beds at the moment, which has a massive broccoli going to seed, so I'll collect all of those. I do plan on using this bed for sweet potatoes, so once those seeds have all started to dry off, I will do that. I'm collecting cuttings for my sweet potatoes, so for this size bed, which is a 0.9 by 1.3, I'll probably look at trying to get about 20 slips in, maybe a little bit more, but we'll see how we go. It's a little pumpkin bed, they're doing all right. 3 have sprouted there, so I might chop the spares off. There is also a capsicum in here, which I completely forgot about. I think it's a Yellow Wonder. And I've got some sweet potatoes sprouting up, so I will move those over to this other bed when it is freed up. Now over here, I've got some tomatoes in pots. They were just spares in the greenhouse that I've just chucked in because I needed to get them in the garden before we went away. These potatoes here are the ones that I planted middle of August. They are just a little bit of compost and then mulch above. And the potato tower is doing all right as well. There is some potato beetle damage here. You can kind of see those little marks. It looks like a lady beetle, but it's not. It's a potato beetle. I can't see any around, but I'll just keep an eye on that. The potatoes we planted back in July they're all ready. I just need to get in and harvest them. But if you dig a little, you can see some. So these were the red Pontiacs. I will probably harvest these, not today because I've got all those beetroots to process now, but I will harvest these in the next couple of days. Oh, I almost missed these. There's lots of aphids here because I've got another dill going to seed there. But these ones just self-seeded. I didn't plant these, so score. We've got a little nursery of pineapples this year. I think we've got around 5 fruiting. So there's 3 out on the side fence where the vertical garden is, which I'll probably put up and make this a little pineapple nursery. I'm not sure. These ones are looking close, these two, but obviously we've got 2 there. So I do need to give them a bit of a feed and look after them a little bit more so we get decent sized ones.
I did reset my fruit fly traps. The numbers are definitely down from last year, but they're definitely still about, so I will keep continuing with the exclusion nets to protect my fruit. You can now grab these from my website too.
Bit of progress with aquaponics. Hubby has been cleaning these beads, which has been a big job. So getting there. Hopefully we'll have it up and running for summer, but we'll see. So I don't normally harvest this much all at once. I normally just go out to the garden and get what I need when I need it. So this is actually a really big haul for us. I will be spending probably about 6 hours in the kitchen processing these beetroots and making pickled beetroot. We do normally just pick what we need and roast them with our roast veggies, but I do want some for hamburgers, so this will be great. It'll probably last us the year. If you want to plant along with me, I do monthly videos of what I plant each month. I plant 1 bed per month just to have that continuous supply of harvests. I did post a video last week which you can check out for October planting. You can also grab my bundle of seeds from my website, which has the next 3 months of everything that I'll be planting via seed in my staple garden beds. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.